Cool. How are you, anyways?
I'm great. Looking forward to the election being over. It's been a long haul.
Yeah.
I've been off work since the 14th of April.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you just been grinding.
yeah, grinding, and because you're on 24/7. As soon as you open your eyes, you think politics till
Right.
the time you go to bed.
So what's the biggest eye opener? The biggest the biggest shock that you didn't expect kind of going into politics?
Are we recording this?
Yeah, we're on now.
If you want me to be honest with you, the biggest eye opener for me so far is how nasty our people can be to each other. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, lateral violence and the things our people are willing to go through to bring somebody down in politics has been an eye opener, and that's not who I am, Cole. I don't believe in bringing you down or my opponents down, because you don't do our culture any good, bringing people down. And so for me, that's been the biggest eye opener so far, is how far some people are willing to go.
It's interesting that you say that. Like with my experience, like I go to a lot of communities. I coach a lot of Indigenous youth and adults. And that's one of the biggest things too that they say. Like I'm friends with a lot of business owners and even people on the powwow trail, and how that's what they say, how mean people are, even with powwow dancing or with business. A lot of my friends, they get told by their friends and family that they're trying to act white a lot, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm of the mindset of, if you're more successful than I am, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you and your wife to have this business and do well for yourselves. I don't believe in bringing people down. If the next business person, or there's somebody that's a better podcaster, or I'm happy for you. Like, let's do our best to uplift each other instead of bring each other down. And that just breeds negativity, and I don't really care for that myself. It's not who I am, not the way I was brought up. You got to lift your kin up, and
everyone can win.
Yeah, we're all from a minoritized, group of people here in Canada. So why do we got to, go to greater lengths to bring each other down? I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where do you think that comes from?
Maybe a little bit of systemic racism and, many years of being pushed down by non-Indigenous people. And, maybe some people are in survival mode all the time, and, you're doing your best to just survive every day, and because of the color of your skin. And that's just my opinion. I don't know if that's correct, but that's my opinion.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic. It's hard to make changes too when you don't know exactly where it's coming from. For you, you went from, like, I guess, storytelling and wandering around, promoting storytelling, helping other people storytell and tell their stories, into political leadership.
What I've been saying so far, Cole, is I want to turn those stories into action now. Nice. I want to act on those stories, and because I've heard what people want and what people need, traveling around as the Wandering Métis, and that job allowed me to travel this whole entire province and meet people I've never would have met before. Métis people, non-Indigenous people, First Nations people, and I want to turn those stories into action. Because if you need something or you want something, like, I want to help you achieve it. And I've heard lots about education and being able to keep educating our kids and empower them with the necessary tools to be successful, whether it's owning Sandstar Graphics or being a university professor or a lawyer or a doctor or even trades. I want to be able to equip our people with the tools to be successful and have a Métis nation that will thrive and be around here forever.
Yeah. And it's cool that you've been able to be really hands on with the specifically Métis community. What's kind of like some of the common issues that you've seen,
Uh,
problems or obstacles?
um, education, elder care. Elders want to be taken care of. And I do believe in taking care of our elders. And if I have a dream that we can take care of our elders, I believe in having affordable food for them. We should have food co-ops all over where the nation can take some of the brunt of the price but be able to offer uh, food at a lower cost for our elders because they're the ones who paved the roads for us. And I still say today that we don't actually need textbooks. We have elders here that lived those stories that are in textbooks, and it's up to us to be able to take care of them and just listen, listen more than anything. And so I believe that I've been taught that the two most important generations in Indigenous culture are the ones coming in and the ones going out. And I firmly believe that. So when I say education, I'm going to say again, empowering our kids with the right tools to be successful. And yeah, and um, I loved visiting the elders in the province because they have so much to offer, so much to show you, and just out of curiosity, like just asking questions. And some people are shy to want to talk, but then as soon as you make them feel comfortable and you ask a few questions, then it just
Right.
something pops in some people, and then they like that you're interested in their story. And like being a storyteller, story keeper, everybody has a story. I have a story. You have a story. That person over there has a story. That person over there has a story. So once you're interested in their story, then people are more willing to want to talk to you and listen, like have you listen. And I found that very empowering too for myself to just let people talk, and because our stories unite us. And you know whether you're from Indian Head, which is down close to the border, or whether you're from the Losh, Saskatchewan, you're still a Métis. You still have a story, and your story deserves to be heard. And so, the storyteller, story keeper, being hands on was once I got used to it, it was so much fun to just go and listen to people and record it like we were doing today, and just you're on your journey and you're starting your podcast here, and I'm happy for you, and I'm happy to be a part of it, and hands on again today.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
betcha.
I'm excited too. Um, so what's your story then? When you take away this campaign and you take away the Wandering Métis, who are you?
I am just a guy from Prince Albert. I am born and raised in Prince Albert. My mom and dad, my late dad Ben, my mother Myrna, she's still alive. She lives in Prince Albert. All my four older sisters live in Prince Albert. I have no brothers. I was the baby of the family. So I guess you want to say I had it quite easy because I never had a curfew. I never had, this and that. And whether it was because I was the baby or the youngest, but my sisters kind of paved the way for me for everything. So um, life was good. I was athletic all my life too. I played everything: basketball, volleyball, hockey. I played it all and I loved it. And um, but I've learned, I made a lot of mistakes in my life, and you learn from all those mistakes, because if it wasn't for failures, it wouldn't be here today to, say I had done this and that. And um, I've been working since I was 14 years old. I used to help at the rink, shoveling snow, moving the nets, drilling back in the day when you drilled the holes, not with a power drill, but that old crank thing. And just always had a work ethic. My dad taught me that very early on. Um, Him and his brothers owned a drywall business when I was younger. And so Saturday mornings, my dad would wake me up. We're going sanding. And so I'd use that sanding pole all day long on Saturdays. And yeah, I'd get paid for it. But, just my dad taught me the value of hard work and making a dollar out of hard work. So I've always been a worker. I've always, had different jobs growing up in Prince Albert, anywhere from stocking the shelves at night at Superstore to working at Bonanza, serving food. And then in my adult years, I worked at Northern Lights Casino for 5 years, relationship building there as a Métis person, but learning to build relationships with, First Nations people and non-Indigenous people there, it was good. I worked there for 5 years. I just kind of got tired of the gaming industry, so I decided to move on. I went to Lethbridge College, where I still remember the day I told my dad I'm quitting the casino and I'm going to school. He's like, "What? What the hell are you doing? You got a good job." And I said, "Well, Dad, I know I have more to offer than just being a slot attendant, a slot supervisor, and working late nights." And so I went to Lethbridge College. I got my criminal justice policing diploma. Was very proud of that. I went from there. I came back home. I worked in corrections for 8 years.
Cool.
Absolutely hated that job.
Okay.
Yeah, I hated it. It was okay for a while, but then again, I just knew I had more to offer than opening up a door for grown men, telling them it's time to go to bed, it's time to get up. It's
At PA?
yeah,
Penn?
yeah.
Is where you work?
Not the pen. I worked at Prince Albert Youth Residence first,
Oh, I
and
see.
that's where the youth go that are incarcerated. From there, I went to the courthouse, where we transported inmates back and forth to court every day, every single day, Monday to Friday. Somebody had to come to court. Whether you picked up people from the youth ranch, the women's jail, the penitentiary, the men's correctional, you picked them all up and brought them to court. From there, I spent my last 3.5 years at the Prince Albert Correctional Center at the men's jail, and then I didn't like that at all, and I just
Right.
then again I decided to make another change for myself, and I quit. I said I'm going back to school. I went to Suntep in Prince Albert. Suntep was the best 4 years of my life. I knew I was Métis all my life, but I just, didn't delve into what it was to be Métis. So Suntep grounded me in being a Métis person, because I got to connect all the dots of all the stories my dad told me all my life, right? And about the struggles that my grandfather's family went through, and how he horse and buggy his family from Canistano. We call it Glen Mary Métis settlement, but it's between the Canistano and the North Saskatchewan River. So my grandfather horse and buggied his family from there all the way over to Green Lake. And by car, that's probably 3.5 hour drive, maybe 4 hours. And my dad said he remembers it being in that buggy for about 4 or 5 days. Stop and make camp and go on again, stop and make camp. And so
That'd be wild, hey?
when my grandfather and his brothers got there, there was solid bush. There was nothing. They had to learn how to clear cut and log, but as a little Métis family, that's what they had to do in order to survive. So it was at Suntep I started to, in those Indigenous studies classes were the best, and because you learned what your families went through, and all the different names from Green Lake, they all started to click here. And I was, man, these are cool stories, because my dad used to tell me these, but I was young, I never really paid attention. And then, but yeah, it was the best 4 years of my life, grounded me as a Métis person. And then I taught for 1 year in Prince Albert. I really, really enjoyed that. I thought I was going to be in the classroom forever because I really enjoyed being in there and teaching kids and molding young minds. But then I met this guy at the golf course. His name is Glenn. And him and I just became friends like that. I never knew this guy from a hole in the ground. He said, my name's Glenn. And he's like, yeah, I'm Métis. I'm from Pine House. And I'm like, I'm Métis. I'm from Green Lake. And oh, we're pretty close. And he said, so we just chit chatted. And he said, why don't you take my number? We'll play a few more games of golf together. And I said, yeah, sure. And I just knew this guy as Glenn. And golfed a few more times. And the golf season was over. And I started to see this guy at the rink. And, I'd always go and shake his hand because he became a friend of mine. And I just, shook his hand and went back to my buddies. They said, you know who that is, right? And I said, yeah, his name's Glenn. No, that's Glenn McCallum. He's the president of the Métis Nation, Saskatchewan. And I probably shouldn't say what I said to him when I went back over to him. And I'm like, you bugger. I didn't say bugger. I said something else. and I said, you didn't tell me you're the president of the Métis Nation. He said, well, I didn't think you needed to know. And, because that's not, because I don't boast about it. And so it became very humbling to, to meet him. And he's like, well, why don't you come work for your people? And I said, no, I'm not interested. And he said, why? And I said, because for one, I just finished Suntep and I enjoy teaching. And I just finished university. I got to start paying off that student loan now. So he's like, well, come work for your people. I said, no, I'm not interested. And again, he asked me why. And I said, well, because our Métis people are famous for putting their hands in the cookie jar where it doesn't belong. And I don't want to be any part of that because that's all I've known Métis Nation Saskatchewan for is, some people taking money that's not theirs. And I said, I don't want to be any part of that because I'm a pretty stand up person. I don't, believe in doing shady stuff. And he goes, no, we've cleaned all that up. And I kept seeing him. It's like, and now you're ready. Now you're ready. And I said, okay, well, he goes, I don't know if you know this or not. He goes, but I've been giving you a job interview for about the last year and a half. He goes, I've been watching you at the rinks and I watch you at the golf tournaments. And he said, I watch you the way you interact with people. You're always so friendly with everybody. You shake everybody's hand and you talk to everybody. He says, well, I think you'd be a great fit for your people. And so I said, okay, let's do this. And I tried. And 6 years later, I've had several different roles with the Métis Nation. I was a director of sports, language and culture, and education. And then I bumped into the Wandering Métis at Batoche in 2022. They needed somebody to go walk around the grounds and talk to people and record it on video. And I thought, shit, I like talking, so why not? Why not me? So I volunteered. And they said, well, we're kind of hoping for somebody a little bit younger. I said, well, that's okay. You got me. And so I went to the grounds and I borrowed a selfie stick from one of the girls I work with. And I started walking around and I just started talking to people, just complete strangers. And I just, with my little selfie stick, I'd walk up and I had a little mic. Some guy said, started walking around and some guy walks up to me, taps me on the shoulder. He goes, do you want to borrow a microphone? I'm like, okay. But I had no idea what I was doing, Cole. I had no experience doing this, no social media experience at all. I knew you put a status on Facebook and people either liked it or they did this or they give you one of those, that's all I knew about social media. Hit send and people done that. And so I just started walking around and I had this little Bob Barker mic. It was only about this big and it looked like a little wee mini one of these. And I'd start, I'd walk up to you and I'd say, hey, I'm the Wandering Métis. What's your name? Where are you from? And just started saying that over and over and over. I'm the Wandering Métis. Hey, I'm the Wandering Métis. And I walked around Batoche for 4 days doing that, just being silly, just talking to people, getting their stories. 200 videos I made in 4 days, like just little 30-second, 1-minute clips. And I went back to work and they're like, we want you to do this full time. We want you to wander around the province and talk to people and get their stories. And that's how it started for me. And it just blossomed into something that was never created before. I created it from scratch, but I didn't know I was creating it. And it just happened and I embraced it. I loved it. And I would have done that job for free.
Yeah.
I loved it so much, getting the stories from people, and both young and old, and little young athletes thriving, and elder stories, and learning how to set a net and skin a beaver. And I'm from Prince Albert. I don't know how to do any of that,
Yeah.
and I got paid to go drive around and do that. It was fascinating.
I think that's one of the, when we first met, that's one of the first things I noticed about you is how welcoming you are, how your personality is just inviting. You have
Hmm.
good energy, and I know that you're very um, genuine, in what you do and what you're saying, and I could tell that right away, and that's why I feel like we connected right away.
Hmm.
Because I feel like it's not like we've known each other for that long, but I feel like you're a friend
Yes,
in the
absolutely.
little time that we have spent together. Just because of who you are and that energy you give off. So it is natural for you, and it's awesome. It's really, it's good to have a positive force who's going around promoting Métis businesses. Uh, it's cool.
Yes, you know, it was just easy for me.
Yeah.
I didn't. You sometimes you go to a job and you try to fit in, and you try to do this, you try to do that, and that's not you. This job just allowed me to be myself.
Right.
And when I walked in here, and then I found out you're a Métis business, and I met you and your wife here at the counter, and it was just easy. Like the things, being the Wandering Métis was just easy. It didn't really seem like work, Cole. If I want to be honest with you again, it just allowed me to be Jason McKay,
Mm-hmm.
the man who likes to talk. And I believe I've been working myself up to running for vice president of the Métis Nation in Saskatchewan. And I hope to, turn that charisma and ease into being a leader, because I like I said, I always believed I had more to offer than
Right.
just being, so yes, the Wandering Métis was fun. And like you said, we became friends just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to turn the stories into action, and I want to lead and lead by example, and be a good person all the time. I don't. This is who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't like it, I'm okay with that.
Right.
I don't have to be every single person that's in this world's friend,
Right.
and I don't try to be everybody's friend. I'm me. If you don't like it, then that's okay. You don't have to. So
It's nice to see an example too of somebody who can uh, just live through their purpose. Like your purpose has became your everyday. Where I think the majority of people don't find that. They feel like they're lost. Their purpose. They don't know what it is. Um, but I feel like you're a great example of turning your purpose into what you're doing every day, and then it doesn't feel necessarily like a job. And that's it's a blessing, really.
yes. And, I know that if I'm successful with being the vice president, my work is really cut out for me. And I'm up for that, because
Mm,
I live and breathe this stuff like you. I live and breathe being Métis. So nothing more rewarding than working for our people and uplifting our people. So I'm ready to be the vice president. And on Saturday, I'm ready to be elected. But if elected, I'm okay with that too. It just wasn't my time. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
right.
And May 25th, I'm still going to wake up, and I'm still going to be Jason McKay. And I might be the vice president, I might not be. So I'm okay with either way.
It seems like um, you have a great relationship with uh, failure. And you kind of mentioned it uh, when you were talking about growing up and stuff like that. But we talk about it a lot on our podcast, actually, like that relationship with failure, because I think it is important to have a healthy one.
Hmm.
Because I think the thought of failing stops people before they even get started. And sometimes when people do fail, they go into a downward spiral,
Hmm.
you know? Um, but it seems like yours is very, very healthy. Uh, was that always?
Yeah, you know what? If there's a book of mistakes, Cole, you're going to see my name on every page
Right.
because I've made tons of mistakes in my life, but I've embraced those mistakes and learned from them. Like I had one impaired driving charge in 1993 when I was 20 years old. It took me one impaired to learn that you don't drink and drive. And thank the stars that I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't hurt myself, and just got my car stuck in between two trees. And I went to walk for help, but I was impaired, and somebody phoned the RCMP on me, and I'm thankful for that because
Right.
it taught me, you don't drink and drive, and because I was young and reckless, and I thought I knew the world, and just humbling stories like that just humble people. And I've been married and divorced once, and I learned a mistake from that. I shouldn't say mistake. I learned that everything happens for a reason. My son's mother wasn't brought into my life to be my life partner forever. She was brought into my life to bring me a beautiful son. And then when we parted ways, we still had a beautiful son out of failure, our failed marriage. And so that inspired me to be a good role model for him because my dad was always a good role model for me. My mom and dad were married 54 years before they passed. So just even a divorce taught me a lesson, and I just try to learn from all of them. But I don't write them down in a book or anything. I just keep them up here and just learn from your mistakes. I think, it's okay to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with failure. It just teaches you a lesson.
That's it's a really cool way to look at a divorce, because obviously everybody has known somebody who's gone through a divorce, and it can be ugly, and then even once it's over, there's a lot of resentment there. There's a lot of anger there that just lasts for the rest of their life, you know. We have friends who have gone through bad ones, who have, and to to look at it like that, is powerful. I think, I hope a lot of people see this and just hear that, because that's a powerful statement,
Mhm.
to find what good came out of it,
Yeah.
and focus on that.
Yeah.
Right?
I was one of those people who had that anger and resentment for a while, Cole. And I'm not gonna, paint a picture that's perfect because it wasn't perfect. I walked around with that anger and resentment when she asked me for a divorce, and I was mad. But one day my mom came, and I was, sitting in this basement suite because that's where I had to live in order to provide for my son. And I just sat there in this basement suite, kind of, sulking a bit and feeling sorry for myself. Why did she ask me for a divorce? And then I went to a sweat in Christopher Lake, and it was in that sweat lodge that I just, and I'm not I'm not a spiritual person. I don't really know a lot about sweats or anything, but people told me you just gotta. This is a good place to let things go,
Mm.
and I let it go in that sweat lodge, and it helped free me. And because prior to going to the sweat, my mom said, you just she's not your wife anymore. You gotta just let go and just be yourself again. And so, from my mother come to tell me that, to going to the sweat, and I just let it go. It just like a weight was lifted off my shoulder, and then as time went on, things started to click, and then I just understood, like, the creator. Things happen in your life for a reason, and so I accepted that she wasn't in my life forever, but she was in my life to bring me a beautiful son, and I just accepted that and embraced it. And then it was easy to have a relationship with his mother because it was just, we weren't necessarily buddies or anything,
Right,
but
right.
we could be civil and just have a talk like this about our son, because
Mhm.
ultimately at the end of the day it's about your child, and that's why it was easy. It got to be easy after a while.
Mm. So what's your relationship with creator now? 'Cause that's something I've been I think we're in a similar boat. Like, I wasn't raised, not raised in an indigenous community at all. But in the last, 5-6 years, I've really dove into it. I've really, I've been out on a lot of communities. I've been doing sweats. I've been
Mhm.
just trying to learn and take it in, and it has been shifting my mindset on spirituality, on all of those things. Uh, I'm still not sure where I'm at, to be honest. Um, but I guess for you, what does that look like for you now?
I just I had to learn to trust the journey that I'm on, and that wasn't always easy for me because I always wanted to be in charge of everything. Like I always, because maybe that was the youngest sibling thing. I always wanted to be in control of everything, and but as I got older, and things started happening for a reason, and I'm that's why I'm saying I'm I trust Creator has a plan for me, and even my fiance, I tell her, you just got to learn to trust the journey that you're on, because he'll map out things the way that they're supposed to happen. You don't have to be in charge. Like I never dreamed of being a wandering mate. I never dreamed of being a storyteller. It just things happened, things evolved, and they've been for the good for the most part. And so I'm hoping to carry that things happen for a reason into vice presidency on Saturday. So just learning to trust the journey that you're on is for you. It's your unique journey. When I went into the schools, I told the kids, and I told them about my failures in my life, and for the kids that would understand it, and I kept telling kids in the schools here in Saskatoon and Regina and up north and Prince Albert, it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to learn from those mistakes, and that's part of your journey that Creator has you on. So just trusting the journey that you're on, and then your journey's for you. My journey's for me. My journey's not going to be for this person or that person. Just it's my unique journey, your unique journey. So just trust that he knows the best for you. And that's the way I'm living my life now. That, I met a beautiful woman here in Saskatoon that she's non-Indigenous, I'm Métis, but she loves everything Métis. She loves our culture. She loves First Nations culture. She's a principal at Lawson Heights School. They have a land-based program, and now she wears the ribbon skirts, and she loves everything that we stand for. And so even just that journey, and picking up, where I left off, and just met a beautiful partner, and we're gonna, she and I were meant to be together. It took us till almost 50 years old to meet each other, but man, that's my partner. That's my person. She's the one for me. And it took me a lot of lessons to learn through divorce and having girlfriends and breakups. But she's the one for me now. And that's just part of the journey. I had to wait a long time for it, but now I have it. I'm never going to let it go because we were meant to be together. So just even little things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it in your eyes right now. How they just lit up talking about her.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing, man.
Yeah, it is. It's a great journey.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's I don't know if you watch fighting much, MMA or boxing or
I
anything.
used to love watching it all.
Yeah. There's a champion right now, and he's so calm and relaxed always. And he said he doesn't concern himself with the result, because Creator already has chosen. He's either put in the work or he hasn't, and Creator's gonna let him know. And he doesn't concern himself with the result. He's either gonna win because the Creator wanted him to win, or he's gonna learn something because Creator wanted him to learn something, and the result isn't in his mind. He's just going through his journey, and that for me was very calming. I saved it on my phone. I was like, that is such like a calming, peaceful thought to just you're either doing what you're meant to do, or you're failing going through what you're meant to go through so you can become the person you need to be. And it's just like, that's so peaceful.
Yeah. And for me, that when I said to you a few minutes ago is I'm still going to wake up May 25th and I'm
Right.
still going to be Jason McKay. And I'm okay with being Jason McKay, or I'm okay with being the vice president, Jason McKay, because Creator has already given that to me. But I don't, as you know, as a boxer, you don't stop putting in the work because you failed.
Right.
I'm still putting in all the work to hopefully be the vice president. But if I don't, I'm not going to stop working. I'm not going to stop doing this thing for our people because maybe it was my time, maybe it wasn't my time,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm okay. Like the fighter, I'm okay with the result.
Right.
Like some people, they think it's do or die. I'm just whatever he has mapped out for me. I'm okay with.
Well, to, I guess, kind of chat a bit more about the Métis community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what do you think in your mind, like economically developing the Métis community? Have you what are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like it's going good.
Yeah,
Um, slowly, things are maybe look like they're shifting,
yeah.
but I don't really know that much. You know.
And I don't like. I can tell you what I've learned, but I don't know that much either. Um, what Métis Nation Saskatchewan has built in 8 years usually takes a government 15 to 20 years. So we're growing rapidly.
Right.
And sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes you don't dot all the I's and cross all the T's because they're growing so fast. And 6 years ago, when I started with Métis Nation Saskatchewan, it's maybe 25 employees, maybe 30. Now we have over 350 employees.
Mm.
So we're just growing so fast. And I see successful people like you and your wife, Demi, and your son, Royce.
Royce. Yeah.
Yeah, Royce. And you guys are, becoming successful here at Sandstar Graphics. And to have programs like CCDF and SMEDCO is
Right.
just, I couldn't be happier for everybody. And that's a Métis business owner in this province. There's a Métis run security company in Prince Albert. Security's a tough job, and there's a guy that's successful there, and he's thriving, and so I'm happy for people like that. It's maybe for some people it doesn't happen fast enough, but again, it just comes back to trusting that it's going to happen in the way it's supposed to happen. So, I'm happy for people like you guys. So I don't really know a lot about economics
Yeah.
and businesses, but man, I see the business directory, the Métis business directory in Saskatchewan. It's huge, and there's lots of different people doing different things, and so we're making our own footprint in this province, and hopefully it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. Economically, what I've been hearing over and over as my journey through this political campaign is elders are having to decide whether to buy groceries or pay for medication.
Mm.
And that's powerful for me. And that's why I say, I would like for the Métis Nation to be able to take a brunt of that, food costs and be able to feed our elders because they shouldn't have to decide between medication and food
Right.
and paying rent and all this. So uh, I would love to see more of the Round Prairie lodges around the province and just be able to um, take care of our elderly people. I just came from Lloydminster last week, and I went to an elders care home in Lloyd, and they pay $425 then a month, and everything's taken care of for them except for groceries. And they have common areas, they have their own living quarters, and people are just happy there. They're happy living there because they're around kin and they play bingo, they play cards, they tell stories, and I would like to see more of those around the whole province, just a comfortable place for elders to live and just live out the best years of your life. And
Right.
yeah,
I feel like uh one of the things I've noticed, and maybe you've noticed too, is how I guess like Métis people specifically don't doesn't seem like there's as much community. When I think of indigenous people and indigenous, my friends, they're so community based. They're big on family. They're big on where they're from, their home, and that representation in their life. And they're so. And then my friends that are Métis, a lot of times they're like, I don't know where I'm from. Like I don't know where my family like, and they don't really have community or that much community, or even know where to find it.
I'll um I'll share a little story with you about that. 2022, 2021. I was the education director for Métis Nation Saskatchewan at that time, and we decided as a team, let's hire some summer students. And I didn't know anything about it. And one of the girls like, well, I did the work for another company that she worked for. You apply through the government to get funding to hire summer students, and you have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops to get the students, and then they come to work for you. But then at the end of the day, when the students are gone back to school, you have to jump through more hoops, provide more, information to the government. What did you do with them? Why? And whatnot. And so my boss comes up to me, says, well, why don't we just use our own money and we'll hire 24? From 4 to 24, he's, yeah, let's use our own money. And so we did. So me and these two ladies that worked for me, we sat down and we interviewed kids. Not kids, I should say, young adults. Over 80 interviews in 2 weeks we done, and we just sat there all day long and interviewed people. And the common theme that people sat down in front of us is, I'm Métis, but I don't know where I come from. And so that just one after another, people just kept saying that, I'm Métis, but I don't know anything about being Métis. So through the younger generation, that's been a common theme, that people don't really know where they come from, because, and this is just my opinion, people are disconnected from their community and the places that they come from. But it's not because they want to be disconnected, but they just don't have the people to tell them, like, the stories of where they come from, because some people are dying out now, and the storytellers, the story keepers are becoming far and few. But if you go into the little communities, like we'll just use Isle La Crosse, for instance. The old people know the language, they know the stories, they know the way to live off the land and stuff. But the younger generation, they're all moving into the city, so they become disconnected from that community. So you got some people from Isle La Crosse that live here in the city, but they don't know anything about their community because they lived almost their whole life here in the urban center. But you got the elders that still speak the language. They still, hunt, trap, fish, and that's just the way of life for them. So I just think there's a little bit of disconnect between community and being here in the urban space. And that's just been my experience. I'm not going to say I know everything, because I don't. And that's just what I've observed. And yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Mm-hmm. I know for myself, if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't know anything. Like my dad still lives uh not pretty close to St. Madeline,
Mm-hmm.
in Manitoba, and he just knows everyone. He knows our genealogy. He knows, and he's kind of looked in, and he keeps in touch with everybody. But I was raised by my mom, lived with my mom, and I didn't know anyone until after high school,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of just reconnected. But it's definitely because of my dad. Like he's kind of kept that family Métis lineage. Like he's done the work to look into it and connect, and he puts on, family reunions, and he like goes out of his way to keep our family connected, which
Yeah.
is powerful.
Yeah. And that's part of the best learning is just sitting there at those family reunions and just listening to people, just listening to the old ones talk. And
Yeah,
because then it clicks, this clicks, that clicks,
right,
this clicks. And then all of a sudden, then you're almost like a part of it, even though you're from another generation. And storytelling, it comes down to storytelling. And, like I said, whether you're from the South or the North, they all have a story. And somehow those stories will connect at some point.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have some questions on leadership.
Okay.
I just want to like pick your brain and kind of see what your thoughts on leadership are, your leadership style, and things like that. And one of the questions I have is what kind of leadership you think Métis Nation needs right now?
Um, they need somebody like me. Um, Somebody who's willing to go to the people and do the things with the people, experience what they're experiencing, not from behind a desk,
Right.
but being out there with the people, like still being a storyteller in a sense, but making people feel inclusive and experiencing what they're experiencing. Because if you sit behind a desk and you have people telling you all these things, you can throw piles and piles and piles of things at you, but unless you're there, um, experiencing what they're experiencing and listening to their stories and why in the communities, whether you're from the north, the central, or the south, I think a good leader is out there with the people and learning from the people and doing more listening than thinking everything. But then you take all those and you come back and then you develop a plan for attack to help to take those wants and needs and turn them into action. And just that's my leadership style is going to be, is to just keep going out and talking to people and seeing the wants and the needs.
I think that's powerful. You know, when I think about mentorship, when I think about leadership, I I honestly put a lot more value in people that are doing it. Obviously education has a place as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh but when I think about business or even boxing, you know, uh somebody who owns a business or has been in the ring, uh they have like an extra step, because they have the mindset behind it, and it's not just theory. They've applied it, they've done it, they've thought while going through, like the mental piece behind actually doing it
Mm-hmm.
is so beneficial, you know. And I feel like when I look at mentorship and I look at going to ask for help, um I really put a lot into that. They've done it, they're doing it, and successfully. I kind of look at the results too. So I agree with you there. Where I put it above education, although obviously education
Yeah.
is
Lived
important too.
experience is just as valuable as education.
I think more.
Yeah.
I do think more.
And so for people to want to follow somebody who just sits behind a desk and you can, well, the book says this, well, the book says that, well, are you more willing to follow a leader who does that, or are you more willing to follow a leader who goes out into the trenches and does things with you
Mm.
and experiences that lived experience? So I agree with you there. Like, people are I think, in my opinion, people are more willing to follow a leader who does those things with the people instead of sitting behind the desk and reading the textbooks. But um, as we know, this day and age, education plays a big part in, having to fulfill certain requirements in order to get somewhere, right? Like the president often says, I've never went to university. I've lived and trapped in the bush and his entire life, but that doesn't make his experience any invaluable than somebody who's got all the degrees and
Right.
the masters and this, and like his lived experience is just as valuable as somebody who's read all the textbooks. So it's just finding a blend of both I think is a good thing.
Yeah. And not that I'm anything special, but most of the things I've done, I never went to school for.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school for electrical, but like everything else, coaching, to owning a business, to being a parent.
Uh-huh.
I never went to school for any of these things.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but it's like, I just hang around with people who have done that
Good.
successfully.
Yeah.
Ask the right questions. I guess for you, because it's bound to happen. How do you think your response to resistance or disagreements? How do you think you would handle that, or you will handle that? Because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of resistance.
Yeah, there's going to be resistance, and resistance is okay, because you're going to have people that are struggling and they're going to need things, and so as a leader, you gotta do your best, you gotta do your darndest to try and help that person. But I'm not going to be able to help everybody as much as I would like to. I'm a helper. I would love to help everybody, but there are certain parameters that are going to keep you from helping everybody. But you got to do your best to listen and try and help as much as you can. Be part of the solution, not be part of the problem. When I entered this when I was even thinking about entering the political arena, I asked Cadmus Delorme, a wonderful speaker, a young man. He's younger than I am, but what a wonderful leader and a good example of what a good leader can be like. And I said, do you have any advice for me entering the political arena? He said, my brother, he said, some days you're going to have to walk up to people and you're going to have to shake their hand and you're going to have to look them in the eye and you're going to have to say, and you shake their hand and you say, I made this decision because of this. And it may not be the decision for that person, but collectively, I always want to make decisions for our people, like our collective, more than what I need or what Cole Smith needs. It's about our people and how to uplift and make our people better than they were yesterday, sort of thing. If that's a fair statement.
Yeah, that's it's powerful because it's sometimes it's hard to think that way, to think like big picture,
Mm-hmm.
like think as a whole. Obviously, when you're making decisions, like emotions come into play, and and then you start looking at the people closest to you, um, and then that big picture turns into small picture, or like sometimes it turns into like band-aid, like quick fixes
Mm-hmm.
instead of long-term um, development or healing or whatever that looks like. Uh, so that's tough. That's tough too.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be easy. There's going to be lots of challenges,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that. I know, and I believe I know what I'm getting into. But I this is my time. I'm ready. I said to you a little while ago, I'm trusting the journey that I'm on, and I'm trusting that this journey is bringing me to this to be able to lead for our whole, not for me. I'm not doing this for me. I'm not doing this for a name on a piece of paper or a desk or a salary. I'm doing this for all of us, whether you're from North, Central, or South. Again, I want my ultimate dream, Cole, in this journey that I'm on is to unite our people. United, we thrive. Divided, we fall. If we keep being divided, we're not going to, get as much as we want. But if we're united, and you can accept that life is different in Saskatoon than it is in La Loche, and that's okay. But end of the day, you're still a Métis person. You're still a Métis citizen, and you have something to be proud of. And so we have to unite our people at some point, and that's my ultimate dream. That's my ultimate goals. Not be everybody's friend, and just, but to lift up your kin and be united and be, happy for you or happy for Joe over there or Mary over there, and just unite and be together.
I think that shows the power of a good leader, is to make hard decisions, even through, judgment that might not be positive judgment at first, to try and get to a greater good, and I think that's important, and I think that's awesome. Like, that's really well said.
Thank you.
I think we're coming up to an hour here, and
wow.
Yeah, I know. I know. I think we could wrap this up, but is there one more thing you'd like to just say or share before we call it?
I guess just to trust. Put your trust in me. Trust that I know what I'm doing, and trust that but I'm not going to wake up on May 25th and I'm going to have all the answers. I need people to help me to want to lead and walk with me. So, just put your trust in me that I know what I'm doing, and my journey is going to continue, and going to make mistakes, but I'm going to learn from those mistakes. I'm going to listen to the people, and because these do just as much as this can do. Mm-hmm. So just to trust me. And on May 24th, I hope people cast their ballot and vote Jason McKay for Vice President, Métis Nation, Saskatchewan, because I'm ready to lead, and I'm ready to listen to people and lead with confidence and lead with integrity and good values. And so I'm ready for the next journey.
Well, thank you. Thank you for chatting. It's awesome to know you, and I'm excited. However this goes, I'd love to have you on again and again and again, and just keep sharing ideas. And yeah, you're great. You're an awesome friend, and I'm glad we met.
Yes, thank you, Cole, for asking me to come on, and I'm happy for you and Demi and Royce that you're successful at Sandstar Graphics, and things are going good for you. So I'm happy for you. I'm happy to be a part of your journey, and anytime you want me to come back, just let me know, and I'll be here. I might not show up on Métis time this time. I had to make the boss a coffee before I left. So
awesome. Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, you betcha.